Hosted by you/Jukebox Rocks. My oldest sister's lifelong best friend has been my doctor for a couple of years. Initially, my doctor, Dr. A, was a colleague of hers from the same clinic. However, after my doctor, Dr. A, went on maternity leave, I temporarily switched to my sister's friend, Dr. B, as my primary physician. It's been that way since the pandemic began, and I never switched back. I have ADHD and have been getting prescription medication for it for a few years now, something I haven't shared with any of my family members for fear of backlash. I come from a long line of type A overachievers who don't believe in ADHD and dismiss it as laziness. A few days ago, my siblings and I were hanging out at my sister's house watching the Matthew Perry-Diane Sawyer interview, where he shares his history with substance abuse. I made a comment about how skinny he looked during one of the seasons of Friends. Out of nowhere, my sister said to me, "Well, it started with prescription substances, so I hope you don't get hooked." I was instantly gripped with absolute horror. My other siblings were confused and looked at her for further clarification, but she didn't say anything more. I spent the whole night frozen, with a deep pit in my stomach. Later, when I found some time alone with her, I had to pry the information out of her. She had just returned from a girls' ski trip, and when they were extremely drunk, her friend, my Dr. B, slipped up and mentioned that she had seen me recently for an increase in my dosage. She essentially revealed to my sister that I've been taking prescription Vyvanse for a few years now. I'm livid, feel utterly betrayed, and have a strong urge to report her for violating HIPAA regulations. My sister won't stop texting and calling me about it, literally all day long, begging me not to ruin her friend's life after years of hard work. She's obviously worried about losing her friend, but she couldn't care less about how disrespected I feel and how my privacy was violated. More than anything, I'm worried that my sister will share this with my parents, and my family will never look at me or my achievements the same way. Edit. A little more information. I've known Dr. B my entire life, just as long as my sister has. She's been my sister's friend since first grade. They've remained close, and our families have spent time together on multiple occasions over the years. We've even gone on trips together, including my sister's bachelorette party. I always looked up to her and thought she was cool growing up. She and my sister both have kids around the same age, and their kids are close as well. Currently, she brings in the larger share of income for her family, and they rely on it. My sister keeps reminding me that I'm also impacting two innocent children's lives in the process, which is the only part I feel guilty about. I adore those kids, and they don't deserve this. However, I can't get over how betrayed I feel. I've always kept a safe distance between personal and professional relationships and would have never chosen her as my doctor if the circumstances hadn't unfolded the way they did. She was the next best doctor and the obvious choice because I wasn't looking to switch clinics during the pandemic. Up on her sister's personality. Dr. B doesn't know that my sister has told me yet. So far, it's just been conversations between my sister and me. She's making it seem like they were so sloppy drunk that it was a slip-up and a complete one-time accident. But I don't understand why that would even come up at all and don't believe that. My older sister flaunting sensitive info about my siblings and me is a tale as old as time. When we were kids, she would hold on to a secret she found out about one of us until the perfect moment, and would thrive on dropping the bombshell to our parents during a road trip or in the middle of a great movie, ruining the entire experience. It was her thing, and I fear she hasn't fully gotten over the habit as an adult. My older sister considers herself our parent too and has always tattled or used stuff as leverage against us. I used to fear her growing up and would hide my journals at my friend's house because she would snoop. She definitely lacks empathy. Update 3 months later. Thank you for all the advice and support on my original post. After reading the feedback, I reached out to a close lawyer friend for advice as well. He, like most of you, agreed that I should report it and do so without informing anyone else. He said it was better for me to act sooner to have it on record. They prefer any complaint to be filed within 180 days of when you knew that the act or omission complaint have occurred. 2 days later, I reported Dr. B to the OCR for violating HIPAA and the Patient Safety Act and breaching my fundamental right to health information privacy. I didn't tell my sister or anyone else. However, a few days later, I saw my entire family when I went home for the holidays. I hadn't heard back yet about my complaint, so I wasn't sure if Dr. B was aware or if she had informed my sister that I had reported her, so I didn't say a word. It turns out that wasn't my biggest issue at that moment, though. My sister had already told my parents that I was on an extremely high dose of controlled substances. I knew my parents wouldn't take this news well, but they were far more upset about it than I could have imagined. My dad doesn't believe in ADHD and thinks it's merely an excuse for those who allow themselves to get easily distracted, especially since the age of social media. He even remarked that he noticed I was quite slow with my responses since dropping out of my chess club. Really absurd and offensive comments. I can't even remember a lot of it because I was frozen. I just sat there, nauseous and livid, with tears in my eyes, listening to the three of them, my parents and sister, take turns going off at me. My mom wanted me to stop all medications immediately, saying, "You're better than this and smarter than this," and even threatened to tell your professors that you're on substances if you leave us with no choice. But when she said that, it hit me. I had a choice. I could choose. I could choose to never have to deal with this again and to not let them treat me this way anymore. So I did. I chose to say nothing and allowed them to interpret my silence as agreeing and submitting to their ways, as I have done so many times before. Then I went to my room, chose to book a flight, and packed up most of my stuff. My books would need buses of their own to be transported anywhere. The next morning, I chose to call an Uber a few hours before my flight, while they were still asleep, and flew back to my university. I chose me. In January, I found out that Dr. B had prior complaints from patients against her, and my report had opened an investigation, which is currently ongoing. She's been placed on temporary leave until the case is resolved. I can't share more details on that for now, but I will come back and update once it's done. Second update 3 weeks later. I don't know how many of you have actually gone no contact with your family, especially to the extent that I have currently, but I'd love to hear any advice you might have. At this point, I don't have any form of communication with my parents or older sister and haven't since December. The most awful part about this whole situation is my inability to reach out to my young niece and nephew, who I'm so close to. Every year, I receive a Valentine's Day card from them, and this year I got none. It's incredibly lonely, and I wouldn't wish this on anyone. I'm always wondering why they think I haven't called them. As much as I'm growing and healing from this, I'm also dealing with a lot of trauma, and it's rough. Third update 2 weeks later. Thank you to every single person who has commented, reached out via DM, or shared advice with me. My ADHD and current anxiety have me feeling extremely overwhelmed, so please excuse me for not being able to respond to each of you individually. The only thing I can share at the moment is that I am currently working with an attorney well versed in HIPAA violations who is handling the matter on my behalf. We have received a notice regarding the outcome of the investigation from the OCR, which I am not allowed to share yet. I'm not sure if we, along with the other patients who faced breaches of privacy from the same doctor, will be suing, as that's usually the most unlikely outcome since it almost always falls on the employers rather than the doctors, or so I've been told. We might proceed with a civil claim. There's a lot of bureaucracy involved, and it seems quite complicated, so I don't have a timeline on what to expect yet. I'm just grateful to have a lawyer who knows what they're doing. Thank you for your support. This has been the hardest and loneliest period of my life, and your kind words helped me get through it. Fourth update 1 month later. I'm a full-time student under the age of 26, and my health insurance had so far been included in my family's plan under the dependent coverage extension. A few months ago, I went no contact with my family after they found out I was on prescription Vyvanse for my ADHD, something they absolutely do not believe in and refuse to support me. 2 weeks ago, I found out that they have taken me off their health plan and have pretty much left me to fend for myself. I haven't been able to get my meds this month, and it has been awful. Since I study full-time, my only means of income is a part-time TA job on campus, which is currently on hold since the semester has ended, and some tutoring I do during my, very limited, free time. I'm struggling and on the verge of a mental breakdown and could use any advice I can get. What options do I have to get some health coverage or any assistance whatsoever? Sorry if this has been hard to read, my eyes fill up with tears anytime I try to type this out. Fifth update 2 weeks later. My final update, farewell and thank you for your support. Hello everyone, I want to express my deepest gratitude to all of you who have reached out, offered advice or a safe space for me to be heard, and provided unwavering support during my time here. Your kindness has been a guiding light during what has been the absolute darkest time of my life. I was incredibly lonely after making the difficult decision to go no contact with my family. However, amidst this awfully painful period, one I wouldn't wish on anyone, I discovered a newfound sense of belonging, provided by all of you compassionate strangers on Reddit. To those of you who were proud of me, I cried a long cry every single time I read those words, and I will carry them with me till the very end. Science is my purpose here. I will rise again and, hopefully, help change this world for the better someday. As I embark on a healing journey, I've decided to take a step back from here. As someone navigating ADHD, I can sometimes become overwhelmed with feedback. Therapy has taught me the importance of focusing on my mental well-being, and given the financial challenges I'm facing and ongoing legal issues, I will be working 2 jobs to make ends meet and afford the healthcare and stability I need while I'm off from school. I cannot express how much your support has meant to me, but at this time, I must prioritize my responsibilities and take care of myself. Till I'm back, I want to leave you with a quote that resonates deeply within me: pass on the kindness of strangers, for they have the power to mend the broken, inspire the lost. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you for becoming the family I needed when I felt most alone. Take care, and may your lives overflow with happiness, love, and success.